All aboard. That was gross.
That was our ASMR version of this.
Hello, everyone. We're going off the rails. I am your conductor for today, Conductor Craig, who will be taking you off the rails. I forgot, our show has a tagline now that someone suggested last week, and I said I was going to write it down and start using it, and I did not do that. But we do have a tagline
about Disney tangents.
It was, yeah. It's
about Disney tangents.
Yeah, it was something.
Was it railway themed? Railroad themed?
No, it was just a perfect description about how this is the show that's all about Disney tangents. And I didn't get it right there, but it's fine. We'll get it right for next week. I'll actually write it down and put it in my imaginary script that we don't use. But yes, we're going to go off on a good Disney tangent today. I am your host for this, Craig Williams. I'm joined alongside by a bunch of good looking people, if I do say so myself too. I don't think that's appropriate anymore in 2021. It doesn't matter. We're going to move on from this real quick. We have Denny Sunderly.
Hi there.
Oh, and now we have Jackie Gailey.
Hi, guys.
We have Rhino.
Hello.
And I'll be seeing myself out. And we'll just move
I wish
on from there.
There had been a Bo Peep sort of thing that came in and just like pulled you off to the side right then.
Yeah, I'll do it for myself. Metaphorically,
yeah.
I already pulled myself off to the side. This is a fun episode. We're going to get to it in just a second. Before we do, though, I do need to remind you that this show is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. If you like our content here on the Diz Unplugged, all of the Diz videos and shows, please use Dreams Unlimited Travel when planning your next upcoming vacation. It is completely free to you. It will not cost you any extra money, and you will have a Dreams Unlimited travel agent working to make sure you have the best vacation imaginable. And I think it's a pretty awesome thing that the Dreams agents do. They work very hard to try to make sure that you do have the best vacation. So for a free, no obligation quote, please head over to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Get in touch with an agent and start working on that next Disney vacation. Then also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel here. And also, please leave comments, questions, and suggestions down in the comment section below. And if you're listening to this on any platform, please make sure you are subscribed. But specifically for Apple Podcasts, please make sure you're also leaving us fun ratings and reviews. That would mean a lot. But I think we are about out of the woods here with all of the important things that I need to talk about right up front. So now we can get on with the show. What are we talking about this week on Off the Rails? What are we going on too long about? I don't actually know if we'll spend a ton of time going off the rails on this one. It might be too easy of a question, but we're going to talk about the Walt Disney World theme park. Specifically, if you had to skip one park at Walt Disney World, which would be the one that you skip? Rhino, do not answer. Don't. No.
Oh, dang it.
Stop. That's it's. First off, it's rude. Ladies first. And second, I don't have a second, actually. I'm gonna open the floor to whoever wants to go first. But I want it to be fair. I don't want you to just jump in before everyone else. And now
Epcot.
Okay. Okay, Rhino's saying Epcot. Rhino, take us down. Why would you skip Epcot if you had to skip one park?
I just feel like if we just take it, we're talking this, you're coming on the trip right now. It's 2021. You're coming to Walt Disney World, and you're like, we can only go to the three parks. Which one has the least to offer me right now? 100%. That is Epcot, I think. Unless you are specifically coming here to be eating and drinking, then that's great. Then it does have a lot to offer, I think. But in terms of like experiences and what you're going to do there, I feel like it's incredibly limited right now. And not to mention the actual state the park right now is kind of like crazy because it's all, a lot of it's under construction. But honestly, I went just earlier this week. I went because I was filming a video. So I was walking up and I was just thinking to myself when I was coming in, and I was like, my gosh, I used to think like I love Epcot. Don't get me wrong. I love all the Disney parks. There's not one where I'm like, yeah, that one I hate, but I was just thinking like I've spent a lot of time in the parks the last couple of weeks. And I find that if I were to just be like, oh, I want to go do this thing, Epcot doesn't have a thing for me to go and do really. Like I know it's got Spaceship Earth. I know it has Journey into Imagination. I know what attractions it has, but it's all those attractions feel very stale and very old at this point. And I just don't feel like it has that thing that the other parks have right now, which like, you're in Animal Kingdom. It's got like the foliage, the animals, it has the attractions still, you can eat and drink there. You go to Magic Kingdom even, which I finally went to again for the first time in like 6 months. And I walking in there, I was just like, my God, this park is still like overflowing with stuff to do. And then even Hollywood Studios, I at this point, I enjoy Hollywood Studios because it's the easiest to get in and out of, but still, again, I find that there's plenty of stuff to just like step aside and go into, and it has a land now. It has 2 lands because it has Toy Story and it has Galaxy's Edge, and that are like new and they pop. And there's nothing really for me at Epcot right now that is popping.
That's no, you bring up really good points. I want to know before we get too deep into this though, because I know Denny also has got a lot to say against what you just had to say, Rhino.
I know.
No one here is going to rightfully say Magic Kingdom. Am I correct in that thinking? We're all pretty, I know everyone I think is frozen on screen for me this second, but everyone is pretty much, we are all in accord. No one's going to say Magic Kingdom is the one that you should skip, right?
No,
Right.
no, gosh, no.
Okay.
That's right.
That's the icon. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was the case, because that's something I'd want to tackle right at the beginning here if we were going to, because that seems like such an insane idea.
There is
If you
no
would've asked me
question that Magic Kingdom is the park that is the biggest hassle to get in and out of. No question. It took me 1 hour to get from the turnstiles just to my car the other day. And I'm like, oh, well, this hasn't changed. But like, you can't, if you've never been to any of these parks, it's just like, how could you ever skip that park? It has amazing attractions. Why are you making that face?
I mean, I make it from...
He's judging you.
I am judging you. When I leave Magic Kingdom, I can make it from when I exit to pretty much any place in the parking lot in 30 minutes or less.
Okay, I'm going to quantify what I just said because I realized I left out a very important step. I was going to Epcot. It took me an hour to get from the turnstiles to Epcot. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know I said my
that
car,
makes
but
more sense now.
I meant Epcot. I didn't mean my car. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll give you.
But yeah,
I'll give you a pass.
an hour. I waited for a bus for 40 minutes. No bus came. No bus came at all. Actually, one did come. It was with that terrible duck on the outside of it, and it didn't pick anybody up because obviously, what else? What would we expect from a bus wrapped in Daisy but to come over, make fun of us, and leave? And so I was like, oh, great. So like, I don't know if it was registered in their system that a bus had come and picked people up, but it did not happen. And I was out there where I was just like, I could have walked at this point. I feel like.
I love it.
Anyway,
I love that story. I
I do too.
I feel like you made some bad choices somewhere along the lines there. It reminds me of like in The Simpsons, there's an episode where a person was just sitting waiting for the ducks to come, and they found out all along that they were just sitting at the wrong pond looking for the ducks. I feel like that might have been your situation.
It's almost where I was like, am I at the right bus stop? Like, am I where a bus should be going? Or am I literally in the one corral where they're like, those buses haven't been here for 18 years.
Ghostbusters. That's what they are.
Okay. My favorite movie, this Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Yeah.
That
Denny,
so funny.
time to rip apart into Rhino, because I know you really want to.
I know.
Go ahead. It's
yeah. No, and to each his or her own for sure. But yeah, I can't. I mean, Epcot is definitely not my choice. And I do understand your motivation behind what you said. It's all valid. Epcot is definitely a park in transition right now. It is in this metamorphosis, and we, at least me, I want my fries and I want them now and hot. Thank you very much. Like I would like to fast forward through this
We're not
whole.
getting those at Disney.
I know that's true. That's true. But I'd like to fast forward through the stage that Epcot is going through. So I get what you're saying. However, I do think that there is something in that park for everyone. I miss Maelstrom, but I like Frozen Ever After. So I think that's an attraction not to be missed. I think that's a queue that's not to be missed. It's a whole lot of charming. And I think that there's more to that park than just eating and drinking. There are plenty of things to do, especially during festival times, especially during the Festival of the Arts. In particular, the fact that you can interact with some of the artists that you enjoy, that you take great joy in, that help feed your Disney fandom. So that's just a very cool thing. For me, for guests to miss World Showcase would be a crying shame. It's whether you're visiting the park and you keep motoring around World Showcase Lagoon and you don't realize that you're supposed to duck into those pavilions and check things out and learn things, or whether you're skipping the park entirely, if you're missing those pavilions, and every park has something unique about it, that you can make this argument for every single park, which, I take umbrage with this topic to begin with. It's hard to pick which one, but I digress. If you miss those World Showcase educational opportunities, I think that's kind of a shame, because to be able to walk back through Mitsukoshi and go, okay, this is a place that is based off of a real place, and to get to look at all those different candies back there and go, okay, that is so cool to watch. The Circle Vision, the Circle Vision shows back there, China and Canada, like that would just be hard. And then I think of some of the attractions that you would miss, like Soarin' and Spaceship Earth. And so I get what you're saying, Rhino. I get it, because Epcot is so in flux. It's just,
yeah. It just made me think of something. You made me think that of all the parks, Epcot really doesn't have a fantastical element to it. That it's a representation of the world, or like a romanticized representation of the different places around the world and those sort of things. And there's nothing really like, when you go to Hollywood Studios, you go to another planet, you get shrunk down to the size of a toy, that sort of stuff. You go to, I know you could argue for Animal Kingdom, but now they have Pandora, so you're essentially like that kind of, that's your fantastical world. Otherwise, I would say that Animal Kingdom and Epcot share that similarity. But maybe that's part of it for me too. Maybe I'm just exhausted by the real world at this point, and I need the ultimate escape to get off planet Earth and to another place.
That's right. Well, the Guardians are coming to help you, Rhino, eventually.
You're right. You're right. That could turn it around for me. There you go. Good point.
And Horizons used to have a whole lot of fantasy going on. And I guess you could argue the whole, mission space thing is based off of, a little bit.
I guess that's how I get out of the planet. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, even on Spaceship Earth, you literally, they will rewrite
I would say Frozen,
your future for you.
That's right.
They will tell you what you're going to do in the future. Will you move to the city or the country? Will you commute via bike or train?
Yeah.
That better be self-fulfilling prophecies remotely. Up there.
Jackie, do you have any input on Rhino and the Epcot hatred? Is that something that you are going to choose as your park to skip?
This is a strong word.
It is not.
No.
Nope. It's funny because when you were asking us earlier if any of us would skip Magic Kingdom, you would have asked me that question right after I visited the Magic Kingdom for the first time in 2008. I probably would have told you that I would skip Magic Kingdom because I was an unhappy camper about how different Magic Kingdom is from Disneyland. And so I was not too keen on Magic Kingdom. So, but Epcot is one that I always visit. So yeah, I love Epcot.
Yeah, you know what? When we were
Okay.
no,
Oh,
hey, now
sorry,
it's
go
time
ahead,
for
Craig.
me to
Please,
speak.
please,
Now it's
please,
time for me to
please.
speak. No, when we started this conversation, I was going to say Epcot as the easy way out, but I started thinking about it more and more, and I don't think I'm necessarily all the way on board with Epcot being the one park that I would skip, and I'll get to mine in a little bit here. Maybe I'll even change my mind as we're talking about this and get back to Epcot with it. But Epcot, it's just how ugly it is right now that's the biggest problem with it. And actually, Rhino brought a lot of good points up. The attractions are also, I mean, there's now more attractions that I would just flat out skip at Epcot than I would actually experience. I could. I'm not one of those people. I love living with the land. I think it's a relaxing, enjoyable boat ride. But at the same time, I'm not going to cry if I don't get to do it for a month. I could pretty much just wipe out the entire land and leave it as it is. Same thing goes with the Imagination Pavilion. Same thing even goes with the Seas with Nemo and Friends. So I'm going to take that entire
the lack of Imagination Pavilion.
Yeah, I'm going to take that entire side of the park and just wipe it clean. And then the other side isn't much better. Mission Space is Mission Space. Test Track is it's been nothing but a former shell of what it used to be. And it's a problematic future world that then I feel like World Showcase rectifies a lot of the issues, but then there's still just not enough. There's going to be more once we have Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and I love Frozen Ever After. I will sing its praises forever, and Grand Fiesta Tour, and Impressions de France, and there's so much to love about World Showcase, but besides Spaceship Earth, I could literally leave everything in Future World off the table.
Oh,
If I were coming though with somebody who doesn't drink, so it's not part about like we're not eating, they're not a big eater, they're not a big drinker. I don't know that there is much to offer in terms of. I'm trying to think like if my nephews and my niece were here, what would they get out of Epcot nowadays? When I was younger, I liked Epcot. I enjoyed what I got out of it, but that was only 5 years ago when I was a child. But since then, things have changed. But I just think I don't. If think about it too, what's the order that you are bringing your family to the park, right? If Epcot is the last park you go to, do you really can you sit here and honestly say to me that your children will be more wowed by something they experience at Epcot? I would argue that Frozen Ever After could be a thing than they were at the other parks. That's the argument I'm trying to make, is that every one of the other parks, if you went in a specific order and Epcot was the day you ended on, I would have been like, oh wow, we ended on the budget hotel.
Oh dear.
I'm just saying, like, that's my,
Let's take a step back. And I'm gonna go back to Denny first on this one. Denny, since you wouldn't choose Epcot, what park are you skipping? You have to skip one.
I don't want to skip one, but if I have to,
Disney Springs.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Disney Springs. Thank you, Rhino. No, I would have to say Animal Kingdom, and I actually considered saying Magic Kingdom. So I just did, but because I enjoy Animal Kingdom, but for me, if I'm thinking about attractions that I think are just cutting edge, that there's something for the entire family, you have to go with the studios. You think of iconic Walt Disney World, what you think of is Magic Kingdom. Therefore, would I think it is, it's okay to skip? No. Epcot is my personal favorite, but I think it will appeal to people who are foodies, who want, for whom it holds, a place in their heart. And so I get to Animal Kingdom. And Animal Kingdom is, out of the three parks, I believe, it is the park that poses the most challenges to someone who might have a mobility issue. It is, as soon as you walk in the park, you are uphill both ways. And it doesn't matter if you go to the left or the right, you're going uphill. And I know we're supposed to explore the park, but the first chunk of the park really is not super well defined. If I am a first-time guest, I may not understand exactly what's going on here. Now, finally, you crest the hill and you see the Tree of Life, and you get a little bit of a downhill, which is nice. But there are big headliner attractions that I adore in this park. So for me, it's hard to pick one, but that would be the one for me. It is, I don't want to say it's skippable, but if you had to only go with three, I think it is the one that is the most skippable of the three.
You don't have to say it's skippable, because
Okay.
I will do it for you. It's skippable.
Okay.
That was the choice that was leading me away from Epcot, was Animal Kingdom, because I just, we've talked for years and years and years about Animal Kingdom and where it is, and a lot of people hate the idea of saying, well, Animal Kingdom it's not just a glorified zoo; it's so much more than that. And I'm not anti-zoo. I'm not in that way at all. I love going to zoos. I'm sure we'll get blown up about it in the comments too. I even love SeaWorld. I don't go very often, but I
am not throwing myself into this lump of category with people who like zoos. I'm just here to say that.
But what I want to say about it though is, it's, while it is more than a glorified zoo, there are a lot of aspects to it that are still very zoo-like, that I just, I get on Kilimanjaro safaris and I love it. And then I realize, like, when I get off of it, I'm like, I just got bumped around looking at all of these animals that I wish I could have had, like, this nice, relaxing walk around an area where I get to see them up close-ish. You don't want to get too close to lines. I want to see these animals closer without being bounced around and rushed around at the pace of whatever the driver is moving at. And, like, wouldn't it be great if there was a place where you could do that? And then I'm like, oh yeah, there's zoos. And that's why I'm usually drawn a lot more to the walks, the Gorilla Falls and the Maharaja Jungle Trek. I like those because I can see the animals at my own pace, especially when they're out there. So, like, Safari still is not to be missed. It's one of the most unique attractions at Walt Disney World, but there are a lot of, I have problems with it. Is cutting edge as Flight of Passage is, it is, at the end of the day, it's the next step in motion simulators, but it's still just a motion simulator. And so I'm starting to chip away at these attractions at the park that I'm like, I'm there for basically Everest and Dinosaur. And it has some great dining around, but even then, it's not like, to me, am I going to go solely because I want cheeseburger pods or a bowl from Satoli Canteen? Probably not. I can always, like, I'll just, there's always other things to be found that are just as good. It just happens if you're at Animal Kingdom, those are the really good ones. So for me,
I was just going to say, I'm still going to argue a half day at Animal Kingdom is better than a full day at Epcot. That I will say that right now, because I 100% understand what you're saying, though. I definitely get your perspective on that. But on the flip side of that, I think that there is a lot to offer at Animal Kingdom that you could potentially not see anywhere else except for at Animal Kingdom. And I don't know that Epcot offers me that. I don't know what I would see at Epcot that I wouldn't see anywhere else. And I know you could argue, well, the pavilions that represent the cultures, but even then, I don't know how authentic all of that is anymore. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's a very squished presentation of all this culture. I'm gonna sneeze. I'm so sorry. I can't
No,
even
that's
think about it. My
embarrassing.
eyes started watering. Yeah, that's why I paused. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I am so sorry. That was so awkward.
No, it was. I mean, you didn't even have to say the sneeze thing. I was just like, oh, he's getting dramatic. It's gonna. I'm gonna really.
Should have
wait
just
for
let it
this
out
one.
right then. I should have paused really hard and just sneezed right on the camera, but it's still in there. It's like kind of like creeping in my eyes right now. But I
It'll come.
I think in terms of which of the two parks am I going to see something that I won't see anywhere else in the world? Potentially, I think that I'm more likely to see something like that at Animal Kingdom than I am at Epcot. Right? I feel like we can find places in cities, we can find places, that represent cultures, other places, but I don't know that I'm going to ever see, I don't know. There's a big thing with the way like the foliage. I think about like the foliage. You talked about the walks that you go on and stuff like that. But at the same time, I am a very anti-zoo. The older I'm getting, the more I am not a fan of zoos and sort of stuff like that. And it breaks down to like the reason why I'm still on the fence with Animal Kingdom is that supposedly the amount of the conservation stuff that they're doing and trying to repopulate like the rhinos and what they do with the elephants and stuff like that, I think is important, but it's still at the end of the day, those animals sleep in cages at night, so I don't know, but that's a whole nother discussion.
It is one that we don't need to necessarily get into, and I'm sure people will fight about it in the comments since we brought it up, and I apologize profusely for it, but I feel like with my argument that to me it is a step beyond a glorified zoo. It's something that I had to still mention the fact that
your argument to me was it's a step back from a zoo, though, and that's what I actually thought was interesting. That you appealed to me on that
only from the perspective of like I have a love-hate relationship with Kilimanjaro Safaris. I love everything about it, but at the same time, how many times do you have those awesome views of the lions when it's early in the morning and the male is roaring and the females are active and moving around? And it's like, oh, I would literally be stuck here for as long as possible if, like, when I'm watching the gorillas on the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, like I would just park myself there and watch them because that's entertaining to me. But then when you're on the safari, it's like, okay, but we've got to keep moving because at the end of the day, this is still a ride. And
you can't do that on the falls either anymore, but you can't actually do that anywhere because of the social distancing stuff. I'm not trying to knock any of that, but because of the rules, they make you keep rotating out of the room. So you can't, because there was an active gorilla the last time I was going to like do a video and look at the falls, and it was like you could only be in one green square for like seconds. And then they were like, please move down, sir. Please move down, sir. And I'm like, I haven't even picked my camera up to take the picture. I'm trying to take a picture.
We'll say, your mileage may vary on that because I have experienced that. And I've also experienced the cast members who, when the gorillas are very active, they're like, well, no, we want to tell you about them as well, too, and make sure you get to spend time. So, nice. It's every experience will be different. But yeah, it's to your argument, though, that Epcot has nothing unique. That's where we're really going to start.
Nothing unique.
I
said you're more likely to see things like you've not seen anywhere in the world. I say if I were to weigh the two, I think that Animal Kingdom has more of those.
That's the truth with all of the parks, though. You could say the same thing about Hollywood Studios. Where else are you going to see this stuff in the world? Well, at other theme parks, at Universal, there's a lot of very similar attractions. Where are we going to see the same stuff at Magic Kingdom?
Oh, if we're going to throw Universal parks into this, I'll tell you right now, you can only go to 2 Disney parks and spend the other day at a thing. I'll cut another one of these parks out right now. I'll cut it. Give me the knife. I'll cut another one out. Give me the knife.
I get there, but like that's the point I'm even making. In terms of like truly unique, if we're really going on that, everything at all 4 parks you can experience in some fashion somewhere else. So I don't validate that in the argument very much. I want Jackie to speak though. Jackie, what are you cutting?
That is so funny. Oh, I love it. So, okay. I think I probably already gave away what I was going to pick because I said it wasn't going to be Magic Kingdom and I said it wasn't going to be Epcot. So I would skip Animal Kingdom. Now,
oh my God, this is the anti-Animal Kingdom episode.
Well, I really,
It's
okay.
I really would rather just skip like the TTC because I don't even really want to skip Disney Springs either.
There you go.
I mean, I don't want to skip Disney Springs anymore either. So but yeah, I and I'm going to tell you the only reason there's only a couple of very small reasons why I would choose that park, and the first one is because of the lack of attractions there that I can deal with anymore. So
Mhm.
I love the safari. That is the rockin' ride for me. I love that ride. I love it. I love everything about it. And we had nothing like that, back home. Being from Seattle, we had amazing zoos. I mean, the Point Defiant Zoo in Seattle, in Tacoma, was amazing. The Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle was amazing. And so when we went to Animal Kingdom for the first time, I was like, God, it's hot here. It's
Mm.
like hotter than fire. And so I didn't have the very greatest time there, but we didn't have anything like a safari. We didn't have rides at our zoo. So I forever loved the safaris, but that's really the only one that I can really deal with because dinosaur isn't really my thing. I don't like the bumping around stuff, and I'm not really into the rest of Dino Land. I mean, I went on Everest once when it opened because I needed to be able to say that I've ridden it, but that one's too much for me. I almost lost it when you're coming up that long hill that you see from the outside. And then we started going, the part where you get up to the broken tracks and start backing up. I thought I was gonna not live to tell the story about that. So I've never done that one again. And pretty much the safari is it because it's too hot to go on all the hikes whenever we have gone. And yeah, I mean, I love the atmosphere there though. I love the feeling
Mhm.
of I mean, I really feel like I'm someplace other than Central Florida when I'm at Animal Kingdom. I mean, it really, you know, Asia and Africa, they're just so cool. And
Mhm.
just walking through and seeing all the scenery. And I mean, I really do love that park. So it's hard for me to pick it, but I'm not willing to give up Magic Kingdom or Epcot. So, or Hollywood Studios for that matter, because the
She's like, oh yeah,
atmosphere of
there's another
Hollywood
one.
Studios. Yeah. I almost forget about Hollywood Studios sometimes, but I love it too. Cause I love to just absorb the atmosphere. I love to just slowly meander down Main Street. It was one of my favorite things to do back at Disneyland. And it's become one of my most favorite things to do here too. And just strolling down Sunset Boulevard, I just love it. I love to just look at all of it. And Animal Kingdom, there's not really anywhere that I just love to slowly stroll and meander. And I mean, I do, but I don't know. Yeah. It's about a third of a day for me.
No, and I,
So,
I, I I like that you bring up how you like to meander in the other parks. I agree completely because I'm sitting here going, okay, when I'm in Animal Kingdom, I like those separate areas. Like you mentioned, Asia and Africa. I love hanging out in Harambe and Anandapur. 9 times out of 10, if it's just me going in like the evening, I'm going to get cheeseburger pots. Like I am on a mission and I'm going in the front gate and I'm heading down to Pandora because I'm going to go to Satuli and get my beloved cheeseburger pots. But there isn't just, oh, let me stroll going on.
right.
Very little of that happens now that you say that. So that's very interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah. I like to investigate all of the details of everything. And I don't know. There's a lot at Animal Kingdom, though. I mean, I remember I was at a party one year, and it was in Dino Land. So the park was closed, and we had Dino Land. And when we were leaving, it was probably close to midnight, and there was a bridge there. And when you looked over to your left, all of the white birds that are there's so many of them, and I of course can't remember what they're called because we didn't have them back home. But the trees were full of them, just thousands, and they were all sleeping. So their little heads were tucked in, and they were, and it was just so cool. It was so peaceful in the river, and oh, it was gorgeous.
I think you made. No, it was me. I punched my microphone while you were talking. Sorry. I think you made an interesting point about atmosphere. I think that is a big thing that's been lacking for me at Epcot lately, to be honest with you. I'm not saying I'm not necessarily saying that one has more or less to do, like there's still stuff to do at both places, right? But I don't feel like I feel a definitive Epcot atmosphere when I'm at Epcot. Whereas, like, no matter what you say about Animal Kingdom, it has a specific atmosphere. And Magic Kingdom, I think it's got that like built into it because of like we said, it's like iconic and all that sort of stuff. And I think Epcot's coming around. Epcot. I think Hollywood Studios is really starting to form. Talk about one that didn't know what it was doing. But I think that it does feel it is. Feels a lot more cohesive than it ever has before in the years that I've ever known it, and again, I didn't go to Hollywood Studios when I was a kid. I didn't even go there until I started working there. And then the same with Animal Kingdom. I didn't go to Animal Kingdom until I was like 18, I think, for the first time. Or actually, that was the same time I went to Hollywood Studios, I think, for the first time. But it was my grad night. But we only came to Magic Kingdom and Epcot. But I don't know. There's just something. I think Epcot's going through an identity crisis. So I think maybe that I feel that reflected in the feeling I have when I'm there. But I don't know. I'd say you made a lot of good points, Jackie.
Here's the thing.
Oh, thanks.
I don't like either park really right now that much. The more I'm thinking about it, like I know I went on hot and hard on Animal Kingdom there. Yeah. I made those choices.
I'm not gonna say. I didn't say anything.
I made those choices.
I was not gonna say anything.
You are
just sitting here and
so red right now, Craig Williams.
I made those choices.
Williams.
Decisions were made.
We're gonna need your middle name, please.
Well, the hard part is that I was even going to shorten it to Dak as well too, which would have added one extra step of. I really
mothers in this chat.
I was about to say I know I was going a little too hard and heavy on Dak, but whatever I said now, I don't even remember. But the more I think about Epcot, like I wish I could rein in some of my initial feelings on exploding about Animal Kingdom, because I like, to me, Epcot is like, I truly believe that if like Dante's Inferno really exists and there's like one of the rings of hell, I do believe will be walking around World Showcase on a weekend night, and you just are walking in circles and circles over and over again. Because to me, there is not a lot worse. It's like it's between that and then Disneyland's Adventureland at 3:00 on an afternoon day. Those are like the two worst experiences that you can have in a Disney park. And so yeah, Epcot actually, like, I don't even really enjoy the experience of being there and walking around. And I'll go there and eat and stuff for work, but if it wasn't for work, I don't think I would probably only, if it wasn't for our jobs, I would probably only go to Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom, and I would be happy.
That's so funny that you're saying that, Craig, because we're actually heading down in a couple of weeks, right? And I can't get a park pass for Magic Kingdom. I can't get one for Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom. I could only get one for Epcot. And
that was the same for me this week.
Right. And I don't even want to go to Future World. Like, I just want to go through I want to ride the Skyliner there. And I want to go in and I want to go to France, and I want to have lunch or dinner, which I can't find a reservation for either one, but I'm going to keep trying. Little small tip, keep trying.
Hang in
So,
there. Mhm.
yep, I just want to do the circle, and then I want to go, and that's all. Like,
Mhm.
I may be able to be convinced to go get on Spaceship Earth because I do love Spaceship Earth a lot. But yeah, Epcot is a tough one right now because that atmosphere, but you don't feel any of what's going on up front when you stay in the World Showcase. So like I
Unless
always
you
But
wanted
get
to
the
split.
barges.
the thing
Yeah, the
is, you have to
barges.
go so far back to even get started in the park right now. Like once you're in the park, you're
You
still
do.
like, I gotta go all the way back here, really, because what really
Yep.
is there? If you go to the left and you go up to where not Spaceship Earth, the other one, space.
The Odyssey.
What I
Space.
lost
Mission
it.
Space.
Mission
Yeah.
Space. God,
Mission Space.
what?
Yeah.
All I could think about was the space restaurant right then. I was like, if you go up by Space
Yeah.
220, remember that?
Oh.
Mm.
That take.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Anyway, no, but I just think like there's really like you have to get really far into this part. And then once you're back
Yeah.
there, it's so far to get out. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's like what you said too. It's just like, we talked about strolls. It's the park where it's funny because we used to do like, okay, well, let's go and do the lap around World Showcase a couple times and then walk out so we can do, get our steps in for the day. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm not trying to say I don't dislike Epcot. Like, I don't hate any of these parks.
Yeah.
That's my
Oh, yeah.
feeling. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm feeling so blah with it lately. I would still go to
Yeah.
Epcot though, even if it wasn't for it, when there was like the beginning of a festival or something like that. Cause I would still like to go and try those, like, cause I like to eat and drink,
Mhm.
but yeah, I definitely wouldn't be going there all the time. I'd go there like probably 2 or 3 times a year and that would be it.
It's the sideline paths right now that make it obnoxious. Like they really needed to build an escalator that went from right behind Spaceship Earth that drops you off right at World Showcase. And they could have put like a glass enclosure around it as you go through the construction site. And there could have been a narration with like an old timey Western voice, like this used to be Epcot. I don't
This
remember.
dig site from 1885 was where Doc Brown really flew his time machine.
This used to
Yeah.
be
Universal
a
tries to
path.
say it was theirs.
And he does have to go, oh, that's where that's going to go. And that's where that's going. This used to be electric umbrella. People would have burgers and fries here. And
People would have
Horrible
subpar food
hamburgers.
here.
here was that gift shop that always smelled like dirty diapers.
It
Not
was Dirty
anymore.
Diaper Hall. Dirty Diaper
Oh,
Hall.
And the
man.
Starbucks and yeah, it is a hard
Yeah.
to navigate park, that front of the park there, for sure.
Yep. That's why we're
The
coming in
teenagers
here.
called this one Club Cool.
It's where you'd get your sarsaparilla. I mean, root beer.
You'd stick to the floor like none other.
Yes, you would.
That's
Well,
good.
that was a thought.
Hmm.
Good times.
That's
I
really
wish there
interesting.
they existed because then I would care more about the park. I know it's terrible. Like
Yeah.
I do. Ultimately, I think it's going to be like what Hollywood Studios was going through. I think when we get to the other end of
Yep.
this, it's going to be great. I think,
Yep.
but it's more and more nowadays where I'm like, yeah. When they announced that overhaul of Epcot, I was like, this is definitely needed. There is no question about that in my mind that it is needed. I just think Epcot it's relying so heavily on just World Showcase. But then if you say to me, well, what about World Showcase? I'd be like, I don't know. Places? Like,
Yeah.
there's not, for me, there isn't magic in those places. It's just, it's places that are cool and there's food and stuff like that. But when I'm in the other places, I feel like that's Disney magic. I don't know.
Okay. So final thoughts. Has anyone changed their standpoint? Rhino, you're still skipping Epcot.
It's fine, guys. I'll spend the day at Animal Kingdom alone.
Denny,
Alone.
where are
Yeah,
you
no,
at
I
with
stick
this?
with Animal
The
Kingdom.
way I
My
like it.
apologies to Rhino.
Jackie, where are you at?
I'm still gonna skip Animal Kingdom,
Hmm.
unless I could split Epcot in half and just skip Future World.
It's fine.
I think
Keep the crowds down at Animal Kingdom.
I think I am going to join Rhino in skipping Epcot. I think I think I swayed myself with it, and
I'll buy you a tempting tigress.
I'm still no. I'm still not going to Animal Kingdom. I'm skipping 2.
Oh.
I'm going to be that curmudgeon in all this that everyone else is like, if we have to give up one, I'll give up this. I'm like, no, I will gladly skip
No.
up 2. I will double up on Magic
You're the Ron
Kingdom.
Swanson right now, when he's like gutting with the machete about when they're making the cuts for the government. That's you at Disney being like, get rid of this park.
Exactly. Exactly. I would throw on
That's
a
pretty
water
good.
park instead of going to either of those and work on my tan. How about that? Or
That says a lot, knowing that you hate water parks.
That does say a lot, but okay. So that's our choices that we made: 2 for Epcot, 2 for Animal Kingdom. We obviously want to know what you would get rid of if you had to skip one park. Not get rid of a park entirely. If you just had to skip one park on your vacation, what would you skip? Let us know in the comments below. Or if you're listening, of course, you can always reach out to us, or you can head to YouTube and comment there too, so we'll see it. But that was our choices: 2 for Epcot, 2 for Animal Kingdom, and 2.5 for Animal Kingdom, and because I'll still keep that in there too, just a little bit. So that's it. Choo Choo Master, call this quits. Call it quits. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Off the Rails. Before we go, I just need to remind you one more time that we are brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. If you like us and our content, you want to support us, please consider using Dreams Unlimited Travel for planning your next Disney vacation. Again, you can get that free, no obligation quote at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. Hit that like button there. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and then also leave us comments, questions, and suggestions in the comments section. If you're listening to this, please make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening, and also leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts if that's where you're listening. But that's it for this episode Off the Rails. Hope you enjoyed it. This one was very interesting, a lot of fun. We'll be back with you soon for another episode where we go off the rails. Everyone, until then, take care. Bye-bye.